So I was thinking about it the other day, just the way that virality has changed over the years, and like how virality used to work, namely. Because I don't know if you guys remember this, I hope somebody else remember this, because I'm gonna seem insane if nobody else does. But you know, there was like a time where it felt like you could like a guy would open a bag of chips and have like a chip in there that really looks like The Rock, and then he'd be on Ellen the next week talking about it. Like it was like going viral was like the thing, you know what I mean? Like Charlie Bit My Finger, all these things where it was like, oh, get yourself 1 million views, and it was the biggest thing on earth. And that's just changed so much. I mean, the guy would be on Ellen and she'd be all like, first of all, I don't even know what happened to Ellen. I don't even know if that show's around anymore. I don't think Oprah's around anymore. I could be wrong on that. But Ellen would be like, so tell me about it. Tell me what you find in this chip. And he'd be like, yeah, I just opened the bag and I found this chip. And, you know, now I'm going to be rich and famous till the day I die, undoubtedly. And then, you know, like a month later, everyone would forget about it. And I think it was interesting. Like, I think that's so interesting, not just because it's hilarious that that would happen, you know, because, like, that, like, obviously, I think we can all look back on that and be like, this is a little goofy, you know? But I also think it's interesting because it's like the way that people reacted to something getting 1 million views back then was very telling. Because I don't think anybody knew what to do with that. They just knew, like, that's kind of a lot. Like, I think the reason virality's changed is because of how money has entered social media. You know, back when I think these companies maybe didn't realize the financial incentive of a sponsorship the way they do now, it was definitely like, okay, this random thing just got 1 billion views out of nowhere. It's the biggest thing on earth. We don't know what to do with that, but we know that's kind of big, right? So we're gonna just like see what happens. And then usually, I mean, you know, the joke about them going on Ellen, of course, I think that actually did happen with a guy or two. But you know, maybe you'll see them somewhere on like a talk show, or the news would mention like, man in Missouri goes viral after blah, blah, blah. Like, it'd be seen as something like that. But then I think like, it was almost everyone was so confused when a week later nobody cared anymore. You know what I mean? I think that's actually the point in time when the phrase 15 minutes of fame was like the most literally accurate. Like it felt like that's how things were moving back then for a long time. Things would quite literally be giant for a week. And I think since nobody knew what to do with it being giant, it caused two things to happen. A, it would get really big in some strange ways there, where it's like, that does, you know, this is ridiculous. And then B, it would fade out after a week because nobody actually did anything with it. Whereas now, two things have happened. One, I think companies realize there's not that much value in something being the biggest thing on the internet, especially when it's something like that. Like, there's value in the biggest guys on the internet. Like, I'm sure, can't even imagine how much money Mr. Beast makes, you know what I mean? But I think they've realized, like, a guy posting a chip and going viral is not, it doesn't really matter to get 1 million views. At least from a money perspective. I think it's really cool, obviously. I mean, that the internet's still awesome in that way that, like, anybody could just be anyone, especially with TikTok now. I think that's the other thing that changes. Like, going viral's kind of happening to a lot more people on TikTok. Like, I know at least 3 or 4 people who have gotten, like, 1 million views on a TikTok video. And, like, when that happens, it makes it a whole lot less special. Because it's just not if everybody's doing it. I mean, how many videos a day on TikTok do you think hit 1 million views? Probably a good amount. And I hope this isn't discrediting anybody. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton of people that put a ton of work into short form content to make it go viral, and that's super, super awesome. Especially, I mean, people do cultivate real audiences with it, and I think that's great. But I do think the access to cultivating an audience and actually going quote-unquote viral has made it seem a lot less special, outside of the fact that companies realize it's a little bit less profitable to have that. Or not less profitable, but I think they realize, like, maybe it's not quite as profitable as they thought. I think that's the way to put it, because if you have a guy who, like, again, let's do this dumb example. If he finds a chip that really looks like The Rock, and you have him do an ad read for Doritos the next day, maybe it'll get like a little more traction than usual, maybe it'll get a few laughs, but overall, I don't think it's actually going to wildly increase the sales of Doritos in the way that having somebody who is a chip reviewer go, this is a actual really great Dorito. I think that's kind of the things a lot of these companies realized, which is why virality became less valued. But I think that's the smallest thing. I think it's actually weird that I started this video off talking about that, because I think that's genuinely probably the smallest area in which this is occurring. I think it's more so just because the internet is so big. Like, I talked about this on a previous Paint&Talk, and a lot of people actually, like, I feel like relate to that more than anything else in the discussion about how, like, back in the day, if somebody had 1 million subs, you would know that person. Like, it was like, oh, 1 million subs, like, you are, like, going to the Met Gala, probably. You know what I mean? That's how it felt, at least. And now it's like, I mean, my friends watch YouTubers where it's like, the last person I feel like got, like, big, that's like, I have a lot of people in the real world that I talk to that watch this person, is like Quen Blackwell. She has, like, I think, like, 4 million subs or whatever. You know what I mean? And, like, even that, it's so weird because it's like these numbers don't actually equate to what you thought they would. You know what I mean? Like, that's so, like, if you asked me, right, who are your friends going to talk about more? A person with 4 million subs or Mr. Beast? I would go Mr. Beast, because he has, I mean, how many subscribers does that guy have? Like 1 billion gajillion or whatever, right? But of course, this is super dependent on the group I surround myself with. Because I think, I mean, you know, you'd probably have to go, like, to a playground to see a bunch of people who are chatting up about the new Mr. Beast video, and they'd probably be, like, 4. But it does go to show that the idea of something that people aren't really successful because they go viral, but rather they're successful because people enjoy watching them for long durations of time and kind of incorporating them into their everyday schedule. You know what I mean? And I think, like, it's kind of twofold. One, these realizations have just changed the way people consume content. Like, me understanding now my friends love Quen Blackwell more than Mr. Beast, even though he's way bigger, is going to make me put less stake into it when I'm consuming content and one guy has 100,000 subs, another has 1 million. Because those are going to be two very different, you know, he could have 100,000 subs and be able to fill, how many seats are in Madison Square Garden? He'd be able to fill that up because they all love him so much. But the next guy was 1 million, maybe, like, couldn't even do a free meet and greet. You know what I mean? Like, it's also dependent on how the consumer consumes the content. And I think as all of us watching it, that's made us look at it, like, very different and be like, huh, like, we don't really care about these numbers as much. From what I've heard, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm exactly getting brand deals. You guys haven't seen one, so you know I'm not. But from the knowledge I do have of that, I think they care less about the numbers and care more about, like, your niche. And I think that goes to show the original point that we were talking about of, like, they realized that, like, somebody who, I heard an example of this guy who did videos discussing, like, how veterans access their benefits and, like, veteran healthcare after deployment or whatever the term is. And he got, like, within the first 200 subscribers, he had a sponsorship every video. Not because he was big, but because he just cornered a market in a way that, like, no actual marketing director could ever dream to do. And I think that is kind of a great example, a great microcosm of, like, the shift that's happened with the internet, of, like, virality has sort of just become this term for a super ill-defined audience. But I think it's also less fun, because I wish we could have, as much as virality never had the actual substance that these niches do, right? In the terms of, like, my friends, go back to, like, Quen Blackwell as an example, like, my friends watch her and they'll discuss her repeatedly. That is more real, I think, than, like, somebody's chip going viral. But there is something I miss about the fact that when their chip or their dress goes viral, I should have been using the dress this whole time, that'd probably be a much better example. You could walk out onto the street and everybody would know the dress. You know what I mean? I wish you could have that relevant actual substance to how we consume these people, their content rather, not them as humans, but their content, and still maintain those moments of monoculture. But yeah, I feel like I'm missing a lot here. Actually, I came in because I was doing this for a thing for work, and or I was thinking about virality for a thing for work, and I feel like I had way better points about it then. But that always happens, so hopefully you guys got something interesting out of this. I guess it's better that way, because now you guys can tell me what I missed in the comments below. So yeah, give me your thoughts on the virality. I actually really like today's painting. This is more what I was going for. This is good. I want to give them eyes tomorrow. I want to be able to do a painting like this, but with eyes, and I think I'm getting way closer to getting this style to be what I want it to be. So yeah, go check this out on the Instagram. I think, if I'm not wrong, no, I think there's still a couple days. Let me think. In 2 days, there'll be a reel up going over all my paintings for the week and explaining them, so go follow the Instagram so you don't miss that. And until next time, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint and Talk episode 136. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all.